Shelley Luther is here off the campaign trail. Shelley, you're running for office in Texas, and you're known as the jailed Texas salon owner. If you Google jailed Texas salon owner, you come up. And just to prove you're the jailed Texas salon owner, I'm going to play this quick clip of you in court. Just jog everybody's memory, and then we'll talk.
All right.
Why did you reopen?
Because I had no other choice, because I couldn't feed my family.
Your actions were selfish, putting your own interests ahead of those of the community in which you live. That they disrespected the executive orders of the state, the orders of the county, and this city.
I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
If you're not willing to die for your fellow countryman, then
So that was definitely the soundbite that I think went around the country, if not the world. A lot of people talking about that judge's comment and your response. So I guess, Shelley, the first thing I want to ask you is stuff that maybe we didn't know behind the scenes. I'm a former mainstream TV reporter. I actually have buddies who work in the Dallas TV market, one who quit actually recently for some of the issues we'll probably talk about today. But I'm just curious, were there anything that was happening behind the scenes that was not covered accurately that you'd like to maybe set the record straight about, or just something that you didn't feel like was focused on enough before we get into what's going on now?
I mean, that's a fair question. I don't really know, while all that was going on, I didn't know what the rest of the world thought or what the rest of the world was thinking. And when we initially closed down, I wasn't concerned whether or not we were the first ones or, we were trying to make a big stink out of anything. I just knew that I was responsible for a business that had 19 people that operated out of there. And I wasn't going to be the reason why they could not provide for their families. And so I just took myself out of that equation. And even though only 3 of them came back initially when I opened, others made the choice not to come in. A lot of it wasn't because they were afraid of COVID. It was because they were afraid of getting their license stripped from them for opening against the rules or whatever those were. So it's hard for me to say, like how people construe the whole situation. I don't really focus on that. I just know that we had no choice. The government gave us no choice. There were no alternatives. And there were people that were going hungry. And at that point, I was done with it.
So this was when, again, at the beginning of 2020?
So it was, so we closed down March 23rd of 2020. And we opened April 23rd. So we were actually closed an entire month and opened after 1 month because they said 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And then they kept saying, oh, 1 more month or 1 more week, 1 more week. And I knew there was no opening in sight. And finding out later in Governor Abbott's plan, we weren't until phase 3 and they hadn't even opened phase 1 yet.
Right. I'm looking back at the AP video and that's at May 6th. Actually, my daughter was born May 3rd. So this is all happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I know while I was birthing a new child, you were birthing a new movement, I guess, in Texas. So let's talk about what it was like being in jail.
So have you ever seen that show 60 Days In? There's a show called
No.
60 Days In. Okay. It's that. It's honestly that. But I did not get to, it was downtown, disgusting, Lou Sterrett jail in downtown Dallas. I was definitely made an example. I had full-blown body cavity strip searches, pregnancy tests, and they put me in a jail I was by myself in the jail, but it was in an area connected to like 8 other ladies. And what was really strange is there was a TV like in the outside area that we could see. No one knew who I was when I came in, but then they started seeing me on the TV and you could tell they recognized me.
Did that do you any favors or not in jail? I'm just curious. I don't know what the average inmate is thinking about a salon owner who refuses to
I think
judge.
they were just shocked, but it didn't matter because I was only allowed out of the jail, out of my own cell for like an hour out of each day that I was
Wow.
there. So I was locked in. It was like 6 by 10 at the most or something. And I was in there like 23 hours a day for 2 days.
And tell us about your release. I don't even know the details of that. If that was just like, okay, all right, we're going to let her go because there's a lot of media pressure, or were you bonded out or what?
No, there's no bail. They threw me in jail for contempt of court for basically not apologizing for opening my business. They wanted me to have a formal apology. And what a lot of people didn't know, I could have gone to jail for 180 days when I turned down the apology thing. You know, the judge says, you hold the key to the jail cell. I can put you in jail for 180 days, 6 months, if you don't apologize. And then afterwards I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize. And my husband's going, oh my goodness. As soon as he wanted me to apologize, my husband knew I was going to jail because it wasn't happening. I wasn't going to apologize.
So did the judge sentence you to, because you were only in what, 3 days, I think?
I was in there 2 full days, but it was
Okay.
it's over a 3-day period, but 48 hours was the total time I was in there. But he sentenced me to 7 days. And the Supreme
Okay.
Court of Texas, actually, my attorney wrote something called a writ of habeas corpus to them, which is something that's not used very often. But they got me out temporarily until they could look at my case longer. And then, you know, a few months ago, they actually threw my case out.
Okay, so you're not facing any more charges or anything
Oh, no, I am. The city of Dallas is still suing me.
for.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, there's no reason for them to be suing me. Basically putting the people of Dallas, putting their lives in danger.
Okay, so is that going to court soon?
It's just a fight back and forth and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of attorney fees.
Oh Lord.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, so Dallas. So, okay, I guess the thing that's confusing for me is because outside of Texas, everybody acts like Texas is sort of the freedom state, and then it doesn't seem like it in your situation. Is it just Dallas? Is it just a big lie about Texas? I mean, it's on our short list for places to move out of Washington, probably better than that, but maybe we should rethink it. Tell me a little bit about Texas.
So if I had a choice, I would go to Florida, honestly.
Oh, that's where I'm from. I always swore I would never go back to Florida, but I also never, in a million years, I never thought Floridians would be leading the
I know.
revolution. You know what I mean? So yeah, but okay. Other than
I read
Florida,
an article
where else
this
can I go?
morning. I read an article yesterday saying that for the first time ever in Florida, there's more Republican registered voters than Democrats for the first time ever. And it's because
I
that
didn't know
governor's
there
doing the
were,
right thing.
I didn't know there were more Democrats in Florida.
Apparently there were. I don't know if it's because of all of the people that move in or migrate there or whatever, but I would say that Texas is definitely more open than most other states, obviously, but it's not because of the way that our state is being governed. It's because the people are like, no, I'm not doing that. They basically just stand up and say no. If I didn't stand up, if others didn't stand up, I feel like Texas would have been just like the other states because our governor continues to take federal money for COVID, which in turn, you know, money is always attached with rules and regulations. And I feel like we would be in a bind if there were several Texans that didn't stand up and say, no, we're not doing that.
Well, I want to give Florida some love. I have to say, I was just there a couple of weeks ago and we had a great time on the beach. So if you're watching this from Florida, just calm down. All right. Maybe we'll end up in Florida. I don't know. Okay. So you get out of jail. You're now still being sued by Dallas. And you decide, you know what? I'm going to run for office. So tell me a little bit about how you made that decision.
Well, it wasn't really a decision. I was just pretty fresh out of jail, and where we were living, a state Senate seat just happened to open unexpectedly. It was vacated early, and I decided to just go for it because I'm not going to be someone that just sits around. I don't like what's happening, and I'm going to just complain. And so we ran for that seat, and our side of the campaign spent about $1.7 million, and it was only like a 3-month campaign. And the governor and my opponent spent about $8 million to beat me in it.
I also saw that is your attorney running for office as
He
well.
is. He is.
Is that also just something that he thought of because of what you went through, or what? Why is he also doing that?
You will see a bunch of Texans, true conservative grassroots Texans that are just regular people standing up and running for office right now because we didn't like the shutdown and our government as big as they think they are. And even when I got out of jail, I spoke all across the nation, but a lot in Texas, encouraging regular people to stand up and run for office. And I'm not going to take credit for it, but I'm so glad that there's a lot of people that are standing up saying, you know what, I don't have to be an attorney. I don't have to be this or that. Or I just feel like government was created at the beginning for people to go from their regular jobs, go serve for a little bit and then get out. And it shouldn't be something where it's people's career.
All right, I want to ask you about this article real fast that just came out. You probably remember, you probably even know what I'm about to show you. Shelley Luther, anti-lockdown activist and GOP candidate, said Chinese students should be banned from Texas universities. And this is the tweet they cite. Chinese students should be banned from attending all Texas universities. No more communists. Can you tell me about this tweet?
Yeah, of course, they take it out of context and they don't look at the tweet underneath it that says it means Chinese nationalists. And basically what we're talking about is, remember during the 9/11, and a lot of people may not know this, during 9/11, the airplanes that flew into the World Trade Center, all of those things, we actually taught a few of those pilots English and taught them flight school actually in Florida. And we don't have to. China right now is our biggest enemy right now. And even though we're not in an all-out physical war with them, they definitely want to take over our nation, the world, if they could. We should not just freely, and this is not something new. This is something that President Trump has spoken about. The FBI has written papers about. And it's funny that it's gotten this much recognition. And I think it's because people are so politically correct these days. And someone just saying something out loud is so surprising, I guess. But this is not anything new, that we should not be training people to come steal our technology, take over our nation economically. And that's exactly what the Chinese government is doing by sending Chinese students over into our college to do. And it's already been proven. There's been people in jail. There's been professors thrown in jail. So this coming up and being such a big deal is kind of funny to me.
Well, so, but here it says just Chinese students. So you mean Chinese Communist Party affiliates who are also students, or did you mean just students from China?
Well, what I meant was not students that are currently in China right now, Chinese residents that are adults because they're coming as over 18 out of high school and studying in our universities, a lot of them for free on scholarships that are paid for by our taxes, our tax system. And to me, it's not racist to say I do not want the enemy in our school systems and us. Because we don't want feelings to get hurt, go ahead and let every single person into our universities after they've already been proven to steal our technology, to steal several things that are classified in our universities.
So what if somebody says to you, like, okay, your kid wants to go to school somewhere, and they're like, we don't want any liberal, socialist Americans because of Biden, or
Right.
AOC or whatever they say. And you're like, well, wait a second. No, my mom's Shelley Luther. I mean, she went to jail to keep her salon owner. I'm a red meat and potatoes American, but they overgeneralize just because she's from the United States and we have Biden in office right now. Do you think that that's an overgeneralization just because they come from China?
No, I mean, China right now is our number one enemy. And we can't let our guard down for 1 second. They're Chinese government. And if you do any type of research at all on the Chinese government, they are the biggest racists there are. The Chinese government is horrible.
Well,
But
no, I mean, let's put racism aside for a second, and let's just talk about like just saying that like political affiliation, that because you come from a country, you are politically affiliated with a certain party. You come from the United States, you're not politically affiliated at all, obviously, right? It's pretty obvious, with the party that is currently in power. So you wouldn't, I mean, it would be overgeneralizing to say Shelley shouldn't be able to do something because she comes from socialist America, you know, and socialist America is our number one enemy.
I totally understand what you're saying. But at the same time, we have not declared war with this. It depends what country you're talking about. If we have, there is a somewhat Cold War, somewhat a invisible war going on with China. It has already started. They want to defeat us. It has nothing to do with we need to pick and choose which students believe that or not. As a precautionary measure, we should not allow any adults from China into classified areas or into any school system where we discuss and create and invent things that they can take back to their country and use against us. It just totally makes sense. And it's a precautionary measure. And will that keep some students out that may not be communists? It might. But at the same time, we can't worry about that. That's how important that is.
This is just a short clip of a full video that has basically been sanitized so it can fly under the radar on YouTube. If you want to see the entire conversation that we had or the entirety of the commentary that you're watching, please go to one of my other platforms. One of the best places to go is AllisonMorrow.locals.com, where you can become part of my editorial board and pose questions ahead of time for interviews. I also do live editorial board meetings on Saturdays. You can bring your feedback and pose ideas for guests and topics for the week to come, and you get exclusive content. So go to AllisonMorrow.locals.com, but whatever you do, don't stay here on YouTube. If you want the full truth about what's happening around us, you gotta go somewhere else.